The restaurant was called Luminous. It sat on the 42nd floor of the Hartman Tower downtown, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city skyline. The kind of place where reservations required 3 months' notice and entrées started at $60. I walked in wearing a simple black dress from Target and flats I'd owned for 2 years. My sister, Caroline, stood near the hostess stand in a designer cocktail dress that probably cost more than my monthly car payment. Her husband, Derek, wore a suit that screamed wealth and status. "Oh, you actually came," Caroline said when she saw me. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "I wasn't sure you'd be able to make it." "It's Mom's birthday," I said simply. "Of course I came." "Well, let's hope you can afford dinner," she whispered as we walked toward the private dining room. "This place is incredibly expensive." But Derek insisted on the best for Mom. I didn't respond. I just followed her through the restaurant, past tables of well-dressed diners, toward the back where our family was gathering. The private dining room was stunning. A long table set for 12 with crystal glasses and fine china. Candles flickered in silver holders. Through the windows, the city glittered like scattered diamonds. Mom sat at the head of the table looking elegant in a navy dress. Dad was beside her, already working on his first scotch. My brother James and his wife were there. My Aunt Linda and Uncle Tom. Caroline's in-laws. All the people who mattered to our family. "There she is," Mom said when she saw me. She stood and hugged me, but it felt perfunctory. "We were starting to worry you got lost." "Traffic was bad," I said, which was true. "Well, you're here now." Mom gestured to the far end of the table. "We saved you a seat." The seat was at the opposite end from Mom, wedged between my teenage nephew who wouldn't look up from his phone and an empty chair. The worst seat in the room. I sat down without comment. Caroline took her place beside Mom in the seat of honor. "Should we order champagne?" she asked loudly. "I think Mom deserves the best tonight." "The 2012 Dom Perignon," Derek added. "Nothing but the finest." A server appeared almost immediately. "Excellent choice, sir. I'll bring that right out." I watched this performance in silence. Caroline loved these moments. Loved demonstrating how successful she and Derek were, how they could afford the expensive things. She was a senior marketing director at a pharmaceutical company. Derek ran a successful law practice. Together they made about $400,000 a year. It was impressive. It really was. The champagne arrived in an ice bucket. The server poured glasses for everyone. When he got to me, Caroline held up her hand. "Actually, maybe just water for my sister," she said sweetly. "Champagne is a bit pricey." "I'll have champagne," I said calmly. The server looked between us, uncertain. "Of course," he said finally, pouring my glass. Caroline's smile tightened, but she raised her glass. "To Mom. 60 years of grace, wisdom and strength. We love you." Everyone clinked glasses and drank. The champagne was excellent, crisp and perfectly chilled. Dinner began with appetizers. Oysters, crab cakes, a delicate butternut squash soup. Caroline ordered for the table, selecting the most expensive items with casual confidence. "Isn't this incredible?" she said to Mom. "Derek found this place. Apparently, it's owned by some young entrepreneur who turned it into the hottest reservation in the city." "It's lovely," Mom agreed. Caroline leaned over to me while others were talking. "Each appetizer is about $30, she whispered. "Just so you know. I don't want you to be shocked when you see the bill." "We're splitting it?" I asked quietly. "Well, Derek and I are covering most of it," she said. "But we thought everyone could chip in a little. Maybe $100 from you? If you can manage it." I nodded and took another sip of champagne. The main courses arrived next. Filet mignon, pan-seared salmon, duck confit. Each plate was a work of art, carefully arranged, garnished with edible flowers and microgreens. "This is a $75 steak," Caroline announced, cutting into her filet. "Wagyu beef, imported from Japan. Derek, you have excellent taste." Derek beamed. "Only the best for family." Across the table, James was talking about his new promotion. Aunt Linda was discussing her recent cruise. Everyone was performing, showing off their successes, their achievements, their perfectly curated lives. I ate my salmon in silence. It was cooked perfectly, the skin crispy, the flesh tender and flaky. "So, how's work?" James asked me eventually, The way you might ask someone about a mildly unpleasant medical condition. It's good, I said. Still at that little cafe? Caroline asked. What are you now, assistant manager? Something like that, I said. This was the story they knew. 4 years ago, I'd quit my corporate job and told everyone I was taking some time to figure things out. I'd started working at a small cafe downtown, making coffee, serving pastries, working the morning shift. What I hadn't told them was that I owned that cafe, and the building it was in, and 4 other restaurants across the city. It must be nice, Caroline continued, not having real responsibilities. Just making coffee, no stress. Of course, the pay must be terrible. I manage, I said. I'm sure you do. She patted my hand condescendingly. And there's no shame in simple work. Not everyone is cut out for corporate life. Dad cleared his throat. Caroline, that's enough. What? I'm being supportive. Caroline protested. I think it's great that she's found something that makes her happy, even if it's not particularly ambitious. Mom changed the subject, steering the conversation towards safer topics. The food kept coming. Sides of truffle mashed potatoes, roasted asparagus, artisan breads with imported butter. Dessert was equally elaborate. A chocolate soufflé that had to be ordered at the start of the meal. Crème brûlée with fresh berries. A cheese course with exotic varieties I couldn't pronounce. This meal must be costing thousands, Aunt Linda said, impressed. About 4,000 for all of us, Derek confirmed. But Mom's worth it. Caroline squeezed Mom's hand. We wanted tonight to be special. Something you'd remember. It's wonderful, Mom said. Thank you both. As dessert plates were being cleared, Caroline leaned close to me again. So, about that $100. Can you cover it? Or is that going to be a problem? It won't be a problem, I said. Good. Because honestly, I wasn't sure if you'd be able to afford to even be here tonight. She said it quietly, just between us, but her voice carried enough that Derek heard and smirked. I set down my napkin and took a sip of water. That's when the kitchen doors opened and Chef Antonio Romano himself walked out. Antonio was a legend. He'd trained in Paris and Rome, earned a Michelin star at age 28, and made Luminous the most sought-after restaurant in the city. He rarely left the kitchen during service and he never came out for regular guests. But he was walking toward our table now, looking directly at me. Miss Bennett, he said warmly, reaching our table. I wanted to personally check that everything has been perfect this evening. The entire table went silent. Every conversation stopped mid-sentence. I smiled up at him. Everything has been exceptional, Antonio. Thank you. The salmon was prepared to your specifications? Perfect, I confirmed. Excellent. And the private room, is the temperature comfortable? The lighting appropriate? Everything is exactly right, I said. He nodded, satisfied. Wonderful. Please let me know if you need anything at all. It's always an honor to serve you. He gave a slight bow and returned to the kitchen. For about 5 seconds nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Then Caroline found her voice. Why did he call you that? Call me what? I asked innocently. Miss Bennett. Why did he know your name? Why did he come out personally to check on you? I took another sip of water. Probably because I own the restaurant. The silence that followed was absolute. Even my nephew looked up from his phone. You what? Mom said weakly. I own Luminous, I said calmly. I bought it 3 years ago as part of a larger investment in the hospitality industry. Caroline's face had gone pale. That's impossible. This restaurant is worth, the revenue alone must be. About $3 million annually, I confirmed. After expenses, it's one of my most profitable properties. Properties? Dad said. Plural. I own 5 restaurants in the city, I explained. Luminous is the flagship, but I also have a French bistro in the Arts District, an Italian place near the waterfront, a sushi restaurant in Chinatown, and a farm-to-table spot in the suburbs. Plus, the cafe where I work, which I also own, along with the 3-story building it's in. Derek was scrolling frantically on his phone. Holy shit, he muttered. She's not lying. Bennett Hospitality Group. That's you. That's me, I confirmed. He turned his phone to show Caroline. I could see the business profile. My professional photo, the list of properties, annual revenue estimates hovering around $15 million. But you work at a cafe, Caroline said. Her voice sounded strangled. You make coffee. I make coffee because I like it, I said. I started that cafe 6 years ago as my first business. I still work morning shifts sometimes because it keeps me grounded. Reminds me where I started. James was staring at me like I'd grown a second head. How did you afford to buy all this? I saved everything from my corporate job, I said. Every bonus, every raise. I lived in a studio apartment and drove a used car. When I had enough, I bought a struggling cafe for $60,000. I turned it around, made it profitable, used that profit to buy the building. Then I repeated the process. But that was only 6 years ago, Aunt Linda said. 6 years of 16-hour days, I said. 6 years of learning everything about the restaurant industry. 6 years of making smart investments and taking calculated risks. Mom's hand was pressed to her chest. Why didn't you tell us? I tried to, I said quietly. 4 years ago when I bought my second property, I invited you all to the opening. You said you were too busy. When I bought Luminous, I called to share the news. You congratulated me and then spent 20 minutes telling me about Caroline's promotion. Caroline's eyes were filling with tears, but I wasn't sure if they were from shame or anger. Every time I tried to share my success, I continued, someone changed the subject or minimized it. So I stopped trying. I let you think I was just the sister who made coffee. It was easier than fighting for recognition. The server appeared then, holding a leather folder. The check, Mr. Thompson, he said to Derek. Derek took it automatically, then looked down at the total. His face went from pale to completely white. $4,318, he read aloud. His voice cracked slightly. Oh, that won't be necessary, I said. I pulled out my phone and typed a quick message. I'm comping tonight's dinner. Consider it my gift to Mom. You can't, Caroline started. I absolutely can, I interrupted gently. It's my restaurant. I can comp whatever I want. Antonio reappeared with a bottle of wine. Miss Bennett, I thought your mother might enjoy our special reserve for her birthday. A 1982 Chateau Margaux. Please, with my compliments. He poured a small amount for Mom to taste. She took a sip mechanically, clearly too shocked to process what was happening. It's lovely, she whispered. After Antonio left, Dad spoke for the first time since the revelation. 15 million in annual revenue. Approximately, I said. And we've been worried about you, he said. We've been feeling sorry for you. I know. I offered to lend you money last Christmas, he said. I thought you were struggling. I appreciated the offer, I said honestly. But I've been fine. More than fine. Caroline was crying openly now. I've been so condescending to you. For years. I've made you feel small. Yes, I said. You have. I'm sorry, she choked out. I'm so sorry. I thought I was better than you. More successful. More important. I know, I said again. But you never corrected me. You never told me I was wrong. Would you have listened? I asked quietly. She opened her mouth, then closed it. We both knew the answer. Mom reached across the table for my hand. I'm so proud of you. I should have said it years ago. I should have listened when you tried to tell me. It's okay, I said. It's not, Mom insisted. I'm your mother. I should have seen you. Really seen you. James cleared his throat. So, are you hiring? Despite everything, I laughed. Are you seriously asking me for a job right now? I mean, you're clearly killing it, he said. And I hate my job. So yeah, I'm asking. I'll think about it, I said. The rest of the evening was strange. People kept apologizing, asking questions, looking at me like they'd never seen me before. In a way they hadn't. They'd seen the version of me they wanted to see. The underachiever, the one who made them feel better about their own choices. When we finally left, Caroline hugged me in the elevator. Can we have lunch? She asked. Just us. I want to really talk. To really listen this time. I'd like that, I said. Mom kissed my cheek. My successful daughter. I'm sorry it took me so long to see it. You see me now, I said. That's what matters. I drove home in my old car, past the buildings I owned, through the city where I'd built my empire quietly and without fanfare. My phone buzzed with texts. Apologies, congratulations, questions about lunch dates and coffee meetings. I smiled and set the phone down. Tomorrow I'd work the morning shift at my cafe. I'd make lattes and chat with regular customers. I'd live my life the way I always had, on my own terms in my own way. But tonight, for the first time in years, my family finally knew who I really was. And that felt good.